Hey, fellow cornhole players. My name is Larry Fleming. I'm the founder and the creator of King Seat Training Boards. I just wanted to make this video and take a simple minute and really show you and explain to you why we created this training board, what it's going to do for you, and how you can use it to its best potential. The ACL put out a guideline that I thought was really good, and in that guideline they outlined 5 different levels of player. They had the backyard player, the intermediate, the competitive, they had the advanced player, and then the professional player. One of the things that was interesting is in those different levels, the number one thing they did that defines the difference was points per round. And so wherever you're at, whether it's a backyard player, an intermediate player, an advanced player, you have to look at your statistics. In Scoreholio is a great place to do it, and to see how many bags that you're putting 4 at a time in, how many you're putting on the board, how many you're putting in the hole, and then how many you're putting on the floor. The only way to advance from a backyard to an intermediate to a competitive player is to clean up those areas that you're the weakest in. So for me, for example, one of the things that I have struggled with from the beginning is I throw a low trajectory board, so I have a tendency to throw too many off the back of the board. So whenever I look at a tournament or a game that I've played, the number one statistic that stands out to me is how many that I've put in the floor, and you can't score when they're in the floor. So there's ways to fix that. Changing your bag, your grip type, all of those are definitely part of it. But the number one thing that this board is going to do to help you, and wherever you're at, is it's going to take you and help you create a training routine that's going to increase your points per round and work on those things that you're the weakest at. When we designed this board is going to, if used properly, it's going to teach you 3 areas. It's going to teach you the speed of the bag. So you're going to develop your throw in order to keep the bags on the board. You're going to develop and work on that. It's going to teach you accuracy of the bag. And once you've gotten really good at speed of the bag and accuracy of the bag, then it's going to begin to teach you strategy of the gameplay. So when you look at this board and you look at all the different things that we designed into the board, that was the thinking behind it. The saying is really true. It's not practice that makes perfect. It's perfect practice that makes perfect. It's practicing correctly. And so many times we get out in the backyard and we just throw bags, throw bags, throw bags. The intent for this particular training board is to take you in that same effort in the backyard, but not just throwing bags, but practicing with a purpose. I love the saying on the back of our shirt that says, practice with a purpose, play with a passion. And that's really true. If you don't practice it, you're never going to rise to the level of your expectancy. You're always going to fall to the level of your preparation. And so what we did is, when we designed this board, the first thing that we designed was the front court line. The saying is really true. You have to throw your bag and you have to keep it in front of the hole, because that's where it's constantly playable. So the front court line is there. It's there for a reason. When you're throwing your bag, you're learning to develop speed of the bag. The next thing we did is put the landing zone in here. This landing zone is going to help you. If you're standing 27 feet away, it gives you a good frame of reference. Now, keep in mind, if you have a bag that's 50% on this line, the chances are when it covers and crosses that hole, it's going to go in. So your landing zone is actually a little bit wider, but this is a great area for you to begin to work on your lefts and rights. So now we've worked on your speed of the bag. Now you're going to work on accuracy. We put the zone 1, the zone 2, the zone 3 in here. We did that for a reason. We also put the blocker bag targets. So we put blocker bags on each side. So if you're throwing from this side, there's a practice routine that you need to do to learn to set that blocker bag right here in order to block your opponent. But that comes into the strategy portion. The blocker bag targets are on both sides. We put a center blocker bag target here. You'll notice that we have a dead zone area. If your bag is gone past the point of you're past the hole and you're in the dead zone area, don't mess with it. Just leave it there. We also have the airmail sight targets. The reason for that is instead of just throwing airmails and throwing at the hole, the airmail sight targets gives you something to focus on while you're throwing that bag. We've got a zone 2 landing zone and a zone 3 landing zone. So once you begin to work on your speed of the bag, you're keeping your bag in the front court line. You're keeping it playable at all times, because even if you miss, you can pick that bag up if it's still in play in the front court line. Now you work and practice on keeping it in the landing zone. So not only are you working on your speed, you're working on your lefts and rights. And now you begin, once you're more consistent with that, now you begin to work on strategy of the game. The perfect way to explain that is if you put a bag in the hole and your opponent puts a bag in the hole and then you put another bag in the hole and they miss, that's a great time to throw a blocker bag. Throw a blocker bag because you're already ahead of them. 2 point, 2 point, 2 point. If you are really good at throwing a level 2 landing, and so many times you'll get a player that opposing player struggles with that so much. And so if you learn and develop an ability to place your bag in that level 2 zone, it's going to keep you an avenue to where you're sliding up, sliding them. So by doing all that, you're going to increase your points per round. We've got a training card set. And so what that does is with each purchase of the board, you get a complete training set. And so now there's 3 different types. One of them is you flip one card and you make a throw that's on that card. So let's say there's 2 of you playing. I'm going to flip and it'll say do an airmail. So I'm going to work on my airmail. I may do 1, or I may throw all 4 bags at that airmail. So then Jennifer, if she flips a card and it says throw a center block, she's going to throw that center block, and she may throw it over and over to get it that we'll go get our bags. We may do that a couple of times and then flip a card. Or we can flip a card, do an airmail, flip a card, do a center arrow block. So that's a great one to work on speed of the bag and accuracy of the bag, because all of those are one-shot cards, but they help you practice with intent. The second set of cards is our strategy cards. And what those do is they're 2-shot cards. So what they're going to do is they're going to tell you to set a blocker bag target and then slide past it. Or put a center one, slide that one in, and slide and replace. They're great tools because that gives you a direction to practice in when you're in the backyard, when you're in your practice routine and you're not just throwing bags. Until you get to the point that you're practicing with specific intent, you're never going to get any better, at least in that particular area of your weakness. The thing that you'll realize is once you use this board and use it to its potential with the playing cards, it will surprise you how much better you get at it. Because if you work on throwing a center arrow blocker bag, a hole, and you work on it over and over and over, now when it presents itself in a game situation, you've practiced that. So you're more familiar with it. One of the things that we have on the card is setting bumpers, putting a bag here and a bag here, and then sliding it up the middle. How many times have we sit there and we've been in a game and there's been a bumper on one side and a bumper on the next, and all you had to do is put the next 2 or 3 bags in. But what do? You follow and you throw it to the right or you throw it to the left. If you practice those situations at home, now when they present themselves in a tournament situation, it's going to be familiar because you've practiced that at home. So anyway, I just wanted to take a minute, tell you how this can help you and what every piece of it's designed for. It's one of those tools that once you start using it, you'll wish you had it a long time ago, and you won't use anything without it. One of the things that I've seen is I bought the skinny boards. Skinny boards, they don't help you. They don't help. They're just hard. I understand the concept of aim small, miss small, but a skinny board is a real challenge. So anyway, get you one of these boards, look at where you're at, identify your weakness, and begin to practice the way you're supposed to and practice with a purpose. Thank you.